Welcome back, everyone. We're going to continue on with my Winchester collection, and as I said before, this is the second installment. We did the Browning or the Henry era firearms, the toggle link designs, and now we're going to move into the Browning era of Winchester, which is when they went from the toggle link design into the vertical sliding locking blocks that the Winchesters had. They were following the cartridges. They couldn't produce a 4570. They didn't have a design that would handle that. The toggle lock wouldn't do it. So as I showed you in my high wall, they had found out that there was this fella in Utah making fantastic firearms, and the story goes they traveled there to see him and inquire about his designs, and he already had a lever action with this vertical locking block fashioned up, designed, ready to go. So Winchester was able to provide him with the patent and develop it further for production use. Now, as I said, Winchester had a fine design team that was able to do that. He's able to do that with a very powerful person. I don't know if he'd have been the best person to work for, but he knew what he wanted, and that did get him in trouble. And I have a little bonus firearm here that we'll see how that got him in trouble a little bit. The first Browning design I have on the bottom there, it'll either make you cry or make you like it. I think it was actually this modern version was designed to compete probably with the Marlin guide gun. It's real similar. It's been modernized quite a bit, but this is what I have for my model 1866. Now, shortly thereafter, they produced the model 1871, which was a very limited production, and that's another one of the Winchesters I do not have. There's two of them I don't have. That's the other one. It was chambered in 348 Winchester, an extremely expensive rifle, and other rifles were just as effective, so it did not last long. They're rare and expensive, and I did not have one. But this is the 1866 version, which was a long action with a vertical sliding block. This one's in 4570. They were all also produced in 5110. So in the day, they were exceptionally powerful firearms. This new Browning design was going to put Winchester on the map for the big bore guns. So my version here, I'll grab it, we'll do a little closer look at it. You either love it or hate it. Taylor's Firearms is importing these guns, and made by Chiappa. They're relatively expensive firearms for what you get. The wood is fair, would call it great. Finish is very subpar on the wood. The design is, of course, a good design. You see the color case hardening, again, the Italian style of that. This one does have a threaded barrel with a compensator on it. Did not include the compensator. This is a takedown version. Winchester was available in a takedown version in that era. I'm not going to show you how it works. YouTube's getting really stingy on actually they're not stingy. They're really handing out strikes right and left. So I've got a set of Skinner rear sights on it. I do like Skinner sights with my old eyes. They work great. This came with Skinner sights on it. This gun's very heavy. I'm getting kind of tired holding it here. But it also had a rail that went quite far forwards, and I could see no use of that rail for me, and I didn't appreciate the looks of it that much. So I got rid of the rail, just went with a set of regular Skinner sights. So there we can see those vertical locking blocks that Browning came up with. A very long action. Again, this one's in 4570. Give you a look down the other side of it. You may not like this if you're traditionalist. The large loop lever. The sling is a Montana sling. One of my favorite slings. I have them on multiple rifles. Just a simple compensator on it. Make sure it's blocked off so we don't throw dust up from the ground. Again, it's about the size of a guide gun. I should have broke one out so you could see how it looks alongside of it. But this is their take on that gun. And this is the one I have in my collection. And I'm happy with it to a point, but for the price you finish and the finish you get, it was full of metal shavings. And I took it apart to clean it, its initial cleaning. And some of them were pretty major. Sharp edges on the metal. So I don't know, that would be your call. Make sure you take a close look at it if you're interested in it, purchasing one. I personally prefer the Marlin guide guns, even the middle years that were supposedly bad ones. I own one of those and I've got no problems with it. Nothing's crooked, everything works. So I would maybe take a look at the price you pay for these at the new Ruger built Marlins. I think they're fine firearms and they're starting to expand it a little bit, but let's get on with the Winchesters. The next one up, you can see, I don't know if you can tell by looking, but the action is quite a bit shorter on that one. And this is a case where they actually went backwards in power on the cartridges. They had developed the big bore 4570, 5110, and of course the 348 Winchester, all very powerful rounds. But they, in order to keep that Winchester look, they developed a kind of a uniformity along their lines. They developed a short action version, which is that Winchester 1892, the next one up. Now, they were in lesser cartridges, say the 32 Winchester or 3220, we call it. And there's two of them out there. The one on the very top, up on the freedom blanket there, is also a 3220. It's a very old one. It's one that was bought by my great uncle, handed down to my grandfather, handed down to my father, and now handed down to me. I've had it on the channel before. Built in the early 1900s. I can't recall right now. I want to say around 1911 is when it was built. But the second one up on the board is also a modern take. Now this one is a Winchester. This one, I believe, is in 45 Colt. Yes. And we'll take a look. Now again, this is it is roll marked Winchester, of course. Model 1892 Winchester. Notice it does have a thumb safety on it. That's a modern take that they did for a while. It is Winchester roll marked, but it is also a Japanese version. So I do consider this a reproduction myself. Again, it's just a short action version with the twin blocks. We've since lost our side plate. And I will bring up and take a closer look at the older, what I'd consider to be an original Winchester. Those are just grease marks on it from handling it. That's why I wear the gloves, so I can put it back without too much cleaning, because there's a little bit of humidity where I live, particularly this time of year with all the snow, and I don't want them rusting up on me from a bad fingerprint. So let's grab this other one. A little bit longer barrel on this one. And as I said, I got some older videos out with this original Winchester. .32 Winchester centerfire, which is 3220. Pretty good shape. It's been around the block a few times. Crack in the stock, period repair, homeowner repair, probably by my grandfather or my great uncle. This was a working man's gun. It was used a lot. I even remember as a child going out with my father and hunting with it. So it doesn't get used anymore. I've got the modern one that I can take out and we can use it. Now the next one in line is the last of these older Winchesters I'm going to do in this one. But it's the model 1894, and everybody knows the Winchester 94. We have an improved one-piece locking block and the locking bolt, and the angle eject for scopes could be mounted on this firearm. Now the top one there, it's an original Winchester from the early 70s. It's not a pre-64, but it is an American-built Winchester. This one is, of course, chambered in .30-30. You can't beat a Winchester 94 chambered in .30-30. You see the locking blocks are no longer present on top, the twin, but we do have a solid one in the back there. Just something about an old original Winchester that has a different feel. You can see a few scratches. This one was taken its share of deer. It's been out in the field a lot of its life. Well used gun. Classic Winchester lines still have the side loading gate. So there we have the Winchester line. I'm going to call it the classic Winchesters, just for lack of a better term. Now there's one more Winchester I'm going to pull out and show you real quickly here. This was a mistake that Winchester made, and it is a lever action, but it's the shotgun. And this is the 1887 shotgun. This is a Browning design, but Winchester wanted a lever action, even though Browning had a pump on way to go. And I don't have that one out yet. I do have several Winchester pumps in my possession. But being a lever action, I wanted to bring out this. It's chambered in 12 gauge. It's black powder only. Of course, you recognize the chopped off version from Arnold Schwarzenegger and in Terminator movies, and a lot of the movies made these guns pretty famous in various forms. Winchester 73, Terminator came along and made that. There have been tons of movies that have featured these rifles, where the rifle was the star, or in that case, the shotgun. It's a roll. Actually, this 1887 is actually a rolling block. As I said, it's black powder only. But they weren't, well, they did okay in sales, I will say that. But Browning had his pump action ready to go, and that Winchester insisted on a lever action, and so fell behind the times. They couldn't handle the more modern smokeless powders. So as a consequence, they did develop it further. There are some later versions that can handle smokeless powder. But here, we'll bring this up, take a little closer look at this falling block type action. We do have a leather, has a little bit of padding inside of it. These are thumpers. Now, it is a Browning design still. It is an exposed hammer. There's our hammer. I do reload black powder for this firearm. I use brass cases, brass hulls, so they're reusable. Very simple to do. Very smooth action. You can see when the action is open, there's a tendency to expose every bit of the firearm. Wonderfully smooth action. There's your hammer. Half cock is exceptionally far back on it. There's half cock. And the stylized Winchester Repeating Arms Company. All those initials are in that if you look closely. You can see the WRACO. It's the only time I know of that Winchester used that logo. So there we have it. Another 1800s Winchester. This is the original. The one that Winchester kind of made a little mistake on, staying with nostalgia instead of forwarding ahead with a modern pump design, which of course Winchester later did, and had some problems with it too, but eventually got it right. So there we are. The next video is going to be the modern era of Winchesters. We still have quite a few to go. Winchester went on in the modern era with their lever guns, didn't give up on them, and we'll take a look at those in the next video. So thanks for watching.